Folks, the next time Freaky Friday comes your way, it will be the eve of the season opener. Drink that in.
Akron Eve.
That's absolutely delightful to think about. But that's next week. This is the Freaky Friday this week, the Podcast Daily. And that means it's time for some season-long bold predictions. Bold Peas are back with Bill Landis, Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. Who's ready? Who's going first?
We need, first, America, we've talked about this in the previous seasons, but I need someone to become the official scorekeeper of Bold Peas from out there.
That's me. That's my job.
No, you're a little bit biased and
maybe
honestly not very good at keeping score. We need someone to
come at the king.
We need someone to keep score, and I need someone to just volunteer for that. But beyond that, I'll start because we've already been doing this. I feel like we've been making.
Well, you have been.
You have.
You've been bold peeing in every show.
I might have been teasing her up a little.
All over the place.
I might have been teasing it a touch. Will Howard is going to be a Heisman finalist. I've said it a couple times this week. I wholeheartedly believe it. I tried to get Ryan Day to pump him up a little bit on Thursday night.
You were trying to juice those odds.
Yeah, and Ryan, to his credit, he's a skilled orator. He definitely
He's Socrates.
He definitely avoided saying too much, but you could tell.
Well, then he talked for 3.5 minutes
he
about
said
him.
a lot of good things about a guy that everyone around the country nationally thinks is just a throw-in for Ohio State. This is a guy that Ohio State believes 100% is not just an upgrade over the starting quarterback situation a year ago, but a major upgrade over the starting quarterback situation a year ago.
Got it.
Bill and I were both a little bit puzzled by that because we saw and got some questions about that. The national media is down on Will Howard and there's negativity.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not looking in the right place because and I'm not saying it doesn't exist somewhere out there. The vibe that I've got overall has been since December or early January, first week of January, people are well, he's going to be the starter because he did this and that. Loved him at Kansas State. He's got the ability to run. I thought there had been more consensus from the national media to this point than there had been locally where we saw Will Howard in spring. It's we believe it'll trend this way. He's going to get more comfortable. But we're not ready to say it's definitively over yet. Devin Brown is playing well. I felt like locally there had been more skepticism than there had been nationally.
No one bought it. I think that everyone, with an objective viewpoint, could understand he was brought here to be the starter. Okay, that was the.
I'm not disputing that.
What I'm thinking is the read that I get from the national side of things is that people think he's a game manager and that he's not a player that is going to have game-breaking ability for Ohio State or that's going to be able to win games for Ohio State, and I'm telling you, he's going to. Mm-hmm. The guy was the quarterback option that was wanted by Ryan Day and Lincoln Riley in this offseason. Say what you want about Lincoln Riley as a head coach. He's obviously slightly overrated in that regard, but the guy knows what it takes to be a good quarterback, and Will Howard's the guy he wanted. So I don't think that is something you overlook when you talk about two guys that have had, 37 Heisman finalists at quarterback in the last 5 years.
Okay, I see your bold P, and I'm going to raise you. I believe that Will Howard will win the Heisman Trophy.
Oh, wow.
I don't think he's just going to be a finalist. I think the numbers that he can put up, they don't have to be Dwayne Haskins numbers. I don't think he has to throw for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards to win the Heisman because
that didn't win it for Dwayne.
Well, and it should have, and that's a conversation for another day and another Lincoln Riley, Ryan Day chat. But never mind, that's in the past. I'm talking about this year and the future for Ohio State. I think if Will Howard throws for 3,000 yards, and I think he will, I think that's pretty manageable with this schedule. If he throws for 35 touchdowns, which I think he will with this cast of receivers, and if he runs for 10 touchdowns, which I really think he will, I don't know, it might be 4 tush pushes. It might just be
those count.
Might just be running it in, with RPO run, zone read, quarterback power. I don't know.
You need one long
45
scramble
total
for a TD in there.
If he does one like he did in practice this month, then that's a Heisman moment for you. 35 passing touchdowns will do it. 10 rushing touchdowns should do it for him. 3,000 passing yards and 500 rushing yards, and a team that is undefeated, which I guess that's fast forwarding to the end. I don't think Ohio State is going to lose in the regular season. And if they win the Big Ten, and then that's when the votes are due because they don't wait till the end of the year, Will Howard is going to have the most compelling resume in the country on the team that everyone expects to be the best in the country. I know that there are other candidates. There's going to be really good numbers for. Emeka Egbuka and Jeremiah Smith and Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. I'm building all that in here to the package, and I think that Will Howard will take that stiff arm statue in December.
How many Philly guys have ever won the Heisman?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good question.
Go Birds, though.
Go Birds. At the end of the day, it's go Birds. I think this season has the opportunity to have like the most Ohio State guys like stealing votes from each other for the Heisman. That's like the one thing that, like, Will in this offense can definitely put up the numbers you're talking about. I just worry about people voting for too many different Ohio State guys.
Well, we saw that in 2019. Obviously, I don't think it would have mattered because Joe Burrow was going to win it no matter what. But you had 3 Ohio State guys in the top 6 in 2019. So that's.
I think if Ohio State is undefeated and it validates the notion that they're the most talented team in the country, that's how you get multiple finalists. And it would be like people are still going to take Will Howard because it's easy to look at his quarterback numbers and be like, well, this guy led them there. The offense is more explosive than the year before. Again, projecting forward for this scenario, it's bold peas after all. Then the splitting of the vote maybe like puts 4 guys from 4 to 10, but doesn't maybe necessarily impact Will Howard. That's the way I'm thinking about it.
Could happen. One of those guys that I think might siphon off some votes is Quinshon Judkins, who is going to win this program's first Doak Walker Award since Eddie George. Proud Philadelphia area native.
Oh, okay.
To answer Berm's previous
This has
question.
been 29
That was
years.
a Heisman winner from the Philadelphia area.
That's right. From Abington. I think he was born
Does
in
that count?
Philly, though. Yeah, it's like
Okay.
it touches like Philly, so it's fine.
Okay.
Downingtown, I don't believe does, but we'll let Will Howard claim Philly.
We'll go Birds then.
I think Quinshon is going to lead the country in rushing touchdowns.
What's the number?
I'm on the record with 30. I don't think it's actually going
I
to be
just like
30.
to hear you say
I
it.
don't think it's actually going to be 30, but I think it's going to be near that. I think he will have.
That's 2 a game if they get to 50. That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I mean that award will be given out prior to that. I think maybe by the end of the year he could have it. I don't actually think that.
Well, you didn't say he had 30 by the time he was given
correct.
the award.
He will not have 30 by the time. Oh, he might. I don't know.
That'd be crazy.
Now he's about to bump it up.
I think he's going to have 50. I don't think he's going to lead the country in rushing yards because Travion's around. Will Howard's going to run. But I think Quinshon will be the guy who gets the most action in this run game. He will score a ton of touchdowns. I think he's going to punctuate a lot of drives. We saw that a couple years ago from Mayan Williams, who didn't get a ton of carries and was like, "Oh, we're on a 3, put Mayan in."
The vulture.
I think Quinshon will not be a vulture because he's going to also average 100 rushing yards a game probably. But I think he will be there like the finisher for this offense. Him and Will Howard together.
So you're saying, if you're saying he gets 100 rushing yards a game, we're talking, 15 game probably, or 15 or more. It's going to be 16 to win the championship, right? So that's probably 2,000 yards rushing and 30 touchdowns. That dude.
I don't think he's going to have 2,000 yards rushing when the season's over. I would say somewhere like around 1,500 maybe, between 1,300 and 1,500. Because I think he will be a 1,000-yard rusher, and I actually think Travion might do it too or be close to it. There's just and the quarterback piece is hard to factor in because we haven't had to do that for a few years. In the way that I think Will Howard's going to do it. But I think Quinshon will definitely be a 1,000-yard rusher, score a boatload of touchdowns. The run game will be the thing about this team that I think people sort of most recognize, at least from an offensive standpoint. And Quinshon, I think, will be the face of that. And in that process will win the Doak Walker Award.
All that's very true. But they're still going to throw the ball quite a bit because Will Howard has to throw the ball to win the Heisman. Somebody has to catch it. I think we will walk away from the 2024 Ohio State football season, and Emeka Egbuka will be the school's new all-time leader in catches, touchdowns, and receiving yards. Maybe not touchdowns, but receiving yards.
I think touchdowns will be a little
touchdowns may be tough for him to reach. I think he'd need like 20 or something like that, maybe. But
that's Olave, right?
I think he needs 71 catches. And I think 1,041 yards to break the school's record in receptions and yards. And I will be stunned if a fully healthy Emeka Egbuka does not hit both of those numbers.
I couldn't agree more. I'm not even sure how bold it is. That's not a lot of spice in the pepper.
Spice that thing up, man.
So there's some
He's
disagreement.
going to do it backwards.
Let's talk about the record book. There's some disagreement about what the exact total is for Chris Carter for freshman receiving totals, receptions, yards, touchdowns. I'm going to give him the bowl game. He exploded in the Rose Bowl. I think that put him around 597, 567, just a little bit less than 600, whatever it is.
Whatever the number is.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what it is the point. And I know that this is not any spice on the pepper to say that J.J. Smith is going to break that record. I'm saying he's going to break it by the end of September. And that
So you're saying plus 600 plus yards for Jeremiah Smith by the end of September for 4 games.
That's correct.
That's pretty spicy.
Now the rest, the total,
that's 150 yards per
the
game.
total
receiving.
catches, the total catches and the touchdowns.
He's not going to probably play the entire
No,
game.
he's going to.
All he has to do is have 2
All he has
catches.
to do is 2 catches for 150 yards,
That is true.
and I'm feeling pretty good. That's why
That
I'm
is true.
saying reception total and touchdowns may take a little bit longer to get to the Chris Carter mark, but
Okay.
the yards will be broke in 4 games, and the rest will be done by the end of October.
It's pretty good. We talked about impact freshmen on Kings of the North, and Doug was laying out some of these statistics, and I said, whatever the freshman record is, just double it, and that's what Jeremiah is.
I
gonna do
honestly
this
could
year.
not. I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, how can that be the record? Like, you think about Ohio State's freshman wide receivers, and I have made this point a lot, like it's hard to make an impact. Garrett Wilson needed half of the year, all the stories that I always talk about. You know, Chris Olave not emerging till late, Marvin Harrison not playing till the Rose Bowl, Jackson Smith and Jigbo, like even when he makes an impact, still not going to play every single snap. I guess that I should have listened to myself, but I just still couldn't believe that the numbers were that low.
Yeah, it's a different time. This program didn't really start slinging the pigskin until
But Chris Carter did it.
Garrett Wilson's what surprises me, that Garrett wouldn't have passed that mark, because Garrett was a starter by the end of his freshman season.
Yeah.
Now, he was not a starter at the start of his freshman season, and maybe not regarded as the best receiver in America without playing a college football game, as some are anointing Jeremiah Smith to be, including us.
I've heard national shows doing like Heisman talk where they mention Jeremiah's name, which is kind of crazy.
He's a mutant.
Yeah.
He's a mutant.
Yeah, he sure is.
Anyway, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if this is bold. I mostly just want to talk about Nick McClarty, who was named the starting punter on Thursday by
Season
Ryan Day.
long, punting bold peas.
I don't know if it's a season long. It's not like a cumulative thing. And I was looking to see like if I could find this in a record.
The
book.
longest
It's not
career
there.
punt at Ohio State.
Yeah, and I couldn't find it. But no one in the country had an 80-yard punt last year. Nick McClarty's going to have an 80-yard punt this year. Is that bold?
Didn't Cam have one?
An 80-yarder?
I thought
Yeah,
Cam-
it's not. The longest punt is not in the record book.
Okay.
So he might very
Well,
well may have.
Come on, Jerry. You put the longest
Yeah,
punt.
it's not
And
gonna
then
find it.
wasn't there a Drew Chrisman bomb at Michigan State too?
In the wind.
Yeah.
Wind dated.
Crispin had like an 87-yarder or
All
something.
right.
thought
Nick
there was-
McClarty is going to have 3 80-yard punts this year.
Woohoo!
Okay.
Now we're spicing it up.
Yeah. Ryan Day said he can punt the ball out
Mix
of the
up
stadium.
that little
which is,
stew.
like, I don't think he can actually punt the ball out of the stadium.
We're gonna
Maybe.
find out.
Can he? No, the south stands are too high. If he if he did it from the corner where the south stands aren't at their apex,
Over the locker room?
like over the tunnel and out of the stadium, he could probably do that.
He can
right?
probably do that.
Yeah.
Why would you be punting from you'd have to be punting from the 40 at
It's
that point.
just to see if he can
just
do
to
it.
actually get a ball.
It's
out
like
of
a
the
dude
stadium.
perfect challenge.
Yeah. So I don't think he's going to actually punt the ball out of the stadium this year. And I think he'll probably have some punts where we go, what the hell was that? Because it's going to go sideways.
Yeah.
But he's going to have 3 80-yard majestic bombs.
That was the thing that we noticed from the extra punt
I'm
periods.
surprised that he was named the starter, actually.
I was really surprised because I think that the other 2 options are not going to kick it 85 yards ever on their best day.
Yeah.
But they were more consistent. Because there was a thing that Ryan Day said a week ago when he was asked about it. He's like, we need somebody who can punt it between 42 to 44 yards consistently. Well, that's not this dude. That's not the 6'7" linebacker who's either going to hit it 15 yards or 1,000,000.
Yeah, I don't know how many. I wonder about the touch, I guess, on a punt from Nick McClarty. He must have gotten much better at it.
I thought the interesting thing, Ryan Day said he's gotten way more consistent in the last week and a half, but he also said that the one thing they've been working on is just getting the ball off his foot faster because he's so tall. So maybe they had to adjust something when it comes to the drop or whatever. But either way, 3 80-yard punts is bold.
He's going to have 3 80-yard punts. Yeah. I also can I put an addendum on that?
Yeah.
You can do anything about
He's going to have a tackle with a forced fumble. He's gonna decleat somebody.
I just like him out there because he's like the perfect person to do, the tush push from the punter formation.
Huh.
You push him.
No, you bring
13
everyone back.
yards.
You bring everyone back like you're going to punt, and then you run to the line and you go.
Oh yeah, you can definitely do that.
When you started that, you were afraid it wasn't going to be bold, and you ended by
I gave you the first one. You're like, that's.
And now
that's
you've
not
said
it.
McClarty is going to have a forced fumble
And 380
380-yard punts.
See, now bold peas are back.
That's right.
I like that, though. I like punter talk. I also like punt return talk.
Uh-oh.
And as this show's foremost authority on punt returns and predictions about them, I think it is important that we get to the heart of it all. It's been 10 seasons since Ohio State has returned a punt for a touchdown. That ends next Saturday.
Oh,
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay?
We have an Akron bold pea show.
Doesn't matter. I want to be on the record now. That ends next Saturday. And it will be Brandon Ennis returning a punt for a touchdown against the Akron Zips and putting to bed all this silly chatter about how long it's been since Ohio State returned a punt for a touchdown. And then
Okay.
And then
the Buckeyes will return 2 more punts for a touchdown this season for a total of 3 punt returns for a touchdown this season. One of them will be Caleb Downs. The other 2 will be Brandon Ennis.
they're not going to mix in a third?
No.
Emeka's not going to have one?
No.
Because I bet he's going to field the first punt of the season.
Maybe. But he doesn't need to.
Well, I'm not
Brandon Ennis needs to be able to fly. Let that beautiful butterfly fly, Let him flap those pretty little wings.
Okay. I love that.
3 punt returns for touchdowns for Ohio State in this season. They have not returned one in 10 years. How do you get bolder than that?
I don't know. I love it. Special teams talk coming
That's what we're here
Well,
for.
special teams talk. It's not
Coming
bad.
hot.
Not bad. How many more are we doing?
one more.
14.
One
Yeah.
more each. Okay.
I think a return to aggressive Ryan Day, especially with like a broader view of the program, is going to lead to a lot more aggression on 4th down. And I think that Ohio State is going to convert 12 4th down attempts over the course of this season. We talked about the tush push being an option in the playbook, but I think even situations like 4th and 3 from the 35, even though he did in that situation punt in the spring game, that was misdirection.
I forgot about
That was just to keep you off the scent because
There was no McClarty at that point.
Huevos Rancheros playoff 4th and 2 throwing the ball down the field. Ryan Day is about to return. And I think he knows what's on the line this year. He knows the talent he's got on hand. I think he's going to trust it. I think he trusts his defense more, maybe just as importantly as Chip Kelly and the skill position players. Not just talking 4th and 1 down there in the red zone. I am talking 4th and medium from the 40 in. I think you're starting to see some of that more.
Pedal down, baby.
12 converted.
That's
4th
why I
downs.
don't think it
Leave
matters
that
who the punter is, because I don't think Ohio State's going to punt the ball more than 30 times this
It's
season.
fine. 3 of them are going to be 80-yarders.
So look at him just sneaking in these extra bold peas.
I
Like,
know.
That's not an extra bull P. That's analysis.
oh, that's cool.
Just a fact of life.
That's cool. That's cool.
If they're punting,
Piggybacking
if they're
on my
punting
bold
it,
P,
if they're
cool.
punting it 2 times a game, I think they
Something's gone wrong?
That's too
Something's
many
gone wrong.
punts.
Don't punt it.
We haven't done a defensive bull P yet, have we?
That's the next show. That's Saturday.
Saturday. I'll do one.
He'll do one.
I'll do one. The team, the guy with the most sacks is going to be Mitchell Melton.
Dang, bro.
I was going to do rapid fire like individual statistical leaders, but you can continue.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Before you continue. And
Can I talk?
Can I talk? Can I finish? Can I finin? So, because, we're here in the Woody Hayes very early on this Friday
Super
morning,
early.
I had done like the cover photo for this show.
Some real inside baseball here.
I had pre-done the cover for the graphic on YouTube.
You done pre-did it.
And I had a photo of Mitchell Melton on there because I knew that he was going to be
One of
mentioned.
us was going to say that. Yeah. I'm like working on this thing about Mitch that I haven't written yet, but I just think it's like a fun, interesting thing about how a guy thinks about pass rushing. But it is really interesting how he kind of goes about his business. And I just think if he gets a handful of opportunities every week, he is a guy who's been pretty banged up throughout his career. I don't even know if physically he could play consistently more than 10 to 15 snaps for this defense, or if he'd even want him to. But if he can get that kind of workload, I could see him registering something like 7-8 sacks. And I think that might be what leads his team. I think you might have a bunch of guys between 5 and 10, and maybe not anybody with double-digit sacks. And that total cumulative for the team will go up in a way that I think people want to see.
I was going to give him
A 2017.
Double digits is tough, man. It's like
I know.
It's clearly it's tough. I just don't know that he's going to play enough for that. So I'll say 8 for Mitchell Melton, which will lead the team. And there'll be a couple guys like right on his heels with 6 and 7. But Mitch is going to be the number one guy.
Who's going to lead Ohio State in sacks, Brim?
Mitchell Melton.
Oh.
That was going to be my BP.
Wow.
That was my defensive BP. And what I'm doing right now is filibustering.
You weren't supposed to make another one.
So I can think about
You were
something
done.
else.
We
You
already
said
made
were
3.
doing one more each.
No, that was the last one.
He said
rapid fires.
Wow. Caleb Downs is going to have 4 interceptions.
He's got to get them all out.
4 interceptions for Caleb Downs.
It's all backed up over
2
here.
of them are going to be returned for a touchdown, and 1 punt return for a touchdown, and 1 offensive touchdown. That's how he's going to be in the
Why were you
Heisman
filibustering if you knew you wanted to say that?
I didn't. I just had to
Okay, so two votes for Mitchell Melton.
get the wheels turning.
I'm going to really get aggressive and say Jack Sawyer. It's the way
Whew.
he finished last season.
Wow.
I think he will.
What's the opposite of spicy?
I know. Well, I didn't. These were like
Mayonnaise.
statistical predictions. Like we're trying to give some like mix in that aren't bold peas, like just actual predictions for who's going to lead. So I think it will still be Jack Sawyer. Who's going to lead Ohio State in tackles?
Cody Simon. Are we just going fast?
Yeah.
Buzzer. Cody Simon.
Lathan Ransom.
I think it'll be Caleb Downs.
Ooh.
Interceptions.
Jordan Hancock.
Caleb Downs.
Jordan Hancock for sure.
6 of them.
He said he's trying to get 5, so you're just giving him the extra one.
Yes.
That's a good pick.
Total receptions.
Emeka Ibuka.
Emeka Ibuka.
Yeah, I think it's Emeka. Rushing attempts.
Quinshon Judkins.
Quinshon Judkins.
Quinshon Judkins as well. Offensive touchdowns. We already know his answer.
Oh. Yeah, it's going to have to be Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah.
It has to be
Quinshon.
Judkins.
If you're taking like Will Howard's passing touchdown, yeah, Quinshon Judkins.
I kind of think Emeka might lead them in touchdowns.
I was gonna say
say,
I was thinking Emeka is gonna have a chance to be that guy, but
You don't have to agree with
I
me
see a
thinking that
ton-
Quinshon
No,
is going to have 42 rushing
I
touchdowns this year.
see it very likely that he has 20 touchdowns
Mm-hmm.
this season. I almost by accident. I don't know.
Combination of rushing and
Yeah.
receiving? Yeah.
No, Judkins. I think
Oh,
like
Quinshon, okay.
it seems almost impossible if he stays healthy the whole season for him to not have 20 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Emeka will have that many.
We're undershooting Bill's mark by 10.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying. Like that seems almost impossible for it not to happen if you get to a 16-game season.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, next week, Bold Peas will be back, and they will be game-specific for Akron. Can't wait. Training camp is closed. It's done. Game week is coming. The next time that we get back out there for a Monday edition of the Podcast Daily, we will be ready to start previewing a game week. Ryan Day, Tuesday. Players on Tuesday, Wednesday. The whole normal schedule is back. We can't wait for it. We appreciate you following along all training camp long and all year long as we've tried to get through and give you as much content as we possibly can on the podcast to get ready for the season, which is a week away. That's Bill Landis and Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. We'll talk to you again on Monday.